because I felt like I needed to be here to ask some critical questions about what happened to Lynette Hooker. Brian Hooker was arrested and spent the better part of like 3 or 4 days in detention on Grand Bahama Island, which is not far from here. But he was released because it seems they don't have enough information or evidence to hold him and charge him. And you only have a finite amount of time to charge somebody. You can't hold him forever. And so the 72-hour extension expired last night at 8 o'clock and he was released. So I got here and went right to Marsh Harbor because that is where Lynette and Brian had a mooring ball and where their yacht Soulmate is still anchored. Okay, so I'm going to show you the yacht floating there, almost ghost-like, with all of its life still appearing as though someone lives on that yacht, but it's closed up. And I do know that the police were there today, that they are going every day. I've actually spoken with police. I saw the police docking. And so there's activity. But as for a crime scene, that's a different story. You're going to hear later exactly what that boat represents right now to the Royal Bahamian Police Force. Also, I have this incredible boat captain named Ronnie Duncan who took me all throughout Marsh Harbor and showed me the ins and the outs, where Lynette and Brian were moored, where the Conch Inn was in relation to the boat, because that's the place they used for their services. And he also drove me all the way from Marsh Harbor over here to Elbow Key, because this Elbow Key is where Lynette was last seen alive. It's where they spent the day drinking and having fun before they got in their little tender to go out to their sailboat. Now, behind me is Hopetown Harbor. This is not where they were anchored. They were anchored further down that way, and I'm going to take you there tomorrow. I'm going to retrace their entire route tomorrow. Captain Ronnie's going to take me all throughout this area of Elbow Key. By the way, Captain Ronnie has a couple things to say about Brian Hooker's story, because Captain Ronnie's from here. Captain Ronnie is a captain here. Captain Ronnie was out on the water at 7 o'clock at night on April 4th, the exact time that Brian Hooker says the seas were rough and I just lost her in the wind and the current. He's got something to say about that. Wait until you hear him. Something else you should know. I wanted very specifically to do this video at 7:30 p.m. local time, and that's exactly the time, 7:30 p.m. This is the time that Brian and Lynette Hooker apparently left the Abaco Inn, where they had been drinking most of the day and having fun and enjoying their lives, which all these sailors do. This was the time, and sun has just sort of set beyond the horizon, and it may look like it's light out. It is getting dusky. And as a boater myself, I also know that this would be a time I would actually put on my running lights. Even though you can see it's still just a little gray. It's the time where the horizon and the water start looking more like the same color. And so if you're in a small dinghy, if you're in any boat, this is the time you'd start to put your running lights on. A lot of people would. And so, to my knowledge, that 8-foot dinghy, I don't think it had running lights. Most 8-foot dinghies don't have running lights. And so I could see them having to book it, because Brian and Lynette, after finishing up their fun day here on Elbow Key, had about a 10 to 15 minute tender ride out to where their yacht was actually anchored. It was not on a mooring ball here. I have learned the place where it actually was. I'm going to take you there. But they had about a 10 to 15 minute ride in their little putt-putt. It's about a 2-4 horsepower. I mean, really, the thing does not go very quickly, and it's about the size of a big bathtub, you know, so that's what a lot of these yachts that anchor out there use, and they're basically just to get into shore, because you throw down in the middle of the harbor, but you got to get in to all the fun. And let me just turn this around so you can see there's like a little restaurant. You might even be able to hear some of what's going on behind me, but look at how lovely that is. There are people in there having fun, drinks and food, and this is just one area. The Hopetown Inn and Marina where I'm staying. By the way, it's really, really nice. It's gorgeous. And they didn't sponsor this, so I'm not saying that for any other reason than it is really, really nice. In any case, I wanted you to see what 7:30 at Elbow Key looks like. This is what it looks like. And I would suggest total darkness, probably not for another half hour at least, maybe more. So I'm still wondering what this was all about. Brian was saying, oh yeah, you know, we just had a couple minutes before, you know, she just disappeared and it became dark. Let's say they left at 7:30 and they drove for 10, 15 minutes, 7:45. I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna let you know what exactly happens with daylight here at Elbow Key. But I want to take you through the journey just to get here and how kind of remote we are in terms of how difficult it is to get from mainland USA to where I am right now on Elbow Key. Here's how the journey went all day. Hi, I just landed in the Bahamas. I'm on the island in New Providence where NASA is located, and NASA is where most people fly in internationally. If you know the Bahamas, New Providence has Lyford Key on one end and Atlantis and Paradise Island on the other end. I'm kind of over closer to Lyford Key in the airport. This is what it looks like where I am right now as I wait in between flights. I'm not at the airport. I actually just scooted out to a place called Blue Sails. I've been here a bunch of times. My brother lives here, so I visit him every so often. But it's a nice restaurant right on the ocean. I mean, look how beautiful this is. It's just gorgeous here. And since we're only like 5-10 minutes from the airport, I figured it's a good place to kick around for the 3-4 hours in between my flight from Fort Lauderdale to Nassau, and then I'm headed to Marsh Harbor. It's directly north of here. It's going to be a really quick flight, like I think maybe 30-40 minutes up to Marsh Harbor. And then I'm going to meet up with Captain Ronnie. And Ronnie's going to take us out into Marsh Harbor, particularly out in the area, in the mooring area where the Conch Inn is located, because the Hookers actually rented a mooring ball at the Conch Inn, and they would hook up to the mooring ball and kind of make that a home base, and they would use the Conch Inn for its resort services, the pool and the resort, etc. So Ronnie's going to drag me around in the boat, and we can at least see if the Soulmate yacht is still there. I don't know what Brian Hooker did after being released yesterday, but it was past 8 o'clock at night. I don't think there's a whole lot of ways to get from Grand Bahama Island over back to Marsh Harbor, so he might have had to do that this morning. And I don't know if he's going to get on that Soulmate yacht and get the hell out of Dodge, but that's his home. But it's a long way to sail back to Florida, and who knows if that's where he'd want to go anyway. You're not any safer if you go to the United States, but it is a oh, little bird. Aw, he's rescued that little bird. A little bit of breaking news. Oh, hi, buddy. Yeah, he'll get his wits back about him. Poor little guy. How about that happening? Anyway, Marsh Harbor is a flight from Grand Bahamas where he was being held in a detention facility, and you know, you got to either take a flight or you got to take a long ferry back over to Marsh Harbor. But that's where the Soulmate was moored when he was arrested. So anyway, it's hard to be here and not be on vacation. Damn, I'd really love to like get in a bathing suit and, you know, go and enjoy. But I will say this: Lindsay and I at least decided to say hi, Lindsay, to spend our 4-hour layover at Pindley Airport in Nassau having a mojito at Blue Sails. All right, so we'll see you when we get to Marsh Harbor, and maybe I'll show you a little of the flight on the way over.
It's located where? Please be reminded that smoking is not permitted for the duration of this flight. It is Commissar's policy that while seated you keep your seatbelt securely fastened to prevent injury due to unexpected turbulence.
Heading over.
Once the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign, complimentary water can be made available upon request by pressing your call button. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the short flight with us. Thank you.
This is one of those little pedal jumpers that go between islands in the Bahamas. So we're leaving Nassau, and we are headed north to Marsh Harbor. So we just landed here at Leonard Thompson International Airport. There it is, Marsh Harbor. It's real little. We're walking to the domestic arrivals. That's the little plane we were on. It's seen better days, that's for sure. Anyway, Lindsay and I are headed to the dock now. We're gonna pick up with our captain, Captain Ronnie. He's a trip. He's a really cool guy. We're gonna jump on his boat, and he's gonna take us out to the mooring at Conch Inn where the Hookers had their mooring ball. So here we go. Okay, made it. This is Marsh Harbor. This is Union Jack Dock. Right there, that's Ronnie. Captain Ronnie is going to take us out into the harbor. And I don't know my way around here yet. Super windy, so I'm putting the phone close. I don't know my way around here yet, but he's going to take us to where the Soulmate found its mooring ball just off the Conch Inn. Hey, Captain Ronnie, okay that I videotape you?
So we're going to take off. We're going to go find the Soulmate, which is, from my glass of knowing, it's just up in that vicinity over there.
So those are all mooring balls over there? And he had one of those?
He's got, the boat is on a mooring, but it's around the Conch Inn Marina. So in that direction is where the Conch Inn Marina is at. So we're going to go up there and we're going to see if we can find it.
Okay, great.
Now, I did hear word that he's not here.
Did he pick up and leave?
Not that he left, but I heard word that he wasn't, word was that he was still in Freeport. I don't know.
And what about the boat?
That's right. I don't know. We're going to go see now.
All right, we'll go check. Thank you.
You're with me to go see right now.
All right.
So as we're ready, you ready, OJ? All right, so let's cast off.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Feel free to be out here in the back of the cockpit because we're going to go up and ask you anything.
Okay, thank you. All right, so listen, I'm finding this out as we go, and this is super helpful that Ronnie's going to take us because I know jack about Marsh Harbor, and thank you, OJ, as well. We appreciate the help. Yeah. All right. So when we get going, I'll come back on.
It's a catch.
It's 4060.
Yes, ma'am. And this is the very boat. This is it. This is Soulmate. And well, they said near the Conch Inn. However, it's more near to Marsh Harbor Marina. But that's okay. It's here in Marsh Harbor.
It's just so sad looking at it. It's up close. It just feels like there was just such a happy, potential future with two people who had sold everything to sail. And now here it is. It's sort of eerie being this close to it, actually. I do not see the tender. Do you?
No, I don't.
The dinghy that
they
would use to get off of the boat and get into land.
Now, last words were, if I'm correct, and then also, just seeing off of TikTok, up into about 11 this morning, he was still in Grand Bahama.
You think he was? But his lawyer went back to Nassau. Yeah.
Right.
Which is why I wondered if maybe he might be coming back to his home. This is his home.
Right, this is his home. We'll go around.
So this is it.
This is the catch, 45.
That's Soulmate.
Soulmate.
Does that look as though it's closed up or that he might have been on it?
Yes, ma'am. Doesn't appear at this point to say, it doesn't seem that anybody's been on prior or since. But it's definitely in a closed up looking state right now.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's the
ma'am.
mooring ball that they connect to, that they rent.
Yeah.
You're safely anchored in this safe harbor.
Yeah. They're rated at 2,000 pounds, pretty much a ton. So yeah, they're for holding grounds in here. That's how they do it. Okay, so this island here is all available key, right? From what I know, this is the channel on the southern end of the island, what goes into the Abaco Inn Resort, as well as into Sea Spray. Well, because of their boat being a catch with a certain amount of draft, they didn't take the boat into the main channel to go have drinks, appetizers, whatever.
Okay.
Too much of a draft. And this is common to boaters like that. So there's a popular anchorage just outside around the corner here, which from what the reports say, it shows that they were anchored somewhere kind of like in here. And that's just outside of the White Sound Channel to your left. Here's this island right here, Lover's Quarters.
Yeah.
So how do you pass and bypass
floating
all what happened in the vicinity there with your wife and whatever to say she went missing? But how do you bypass Lovers to get all the way over here to the main shore of what they call Calcutta, which is a boatyard, Calcutta Creek?
Where would he have landed? Just point out where the landing was?
Right here. This is where he landed. Reports say he landed the 9 hours plus later.
Is that white all water?
Yeah, that's all.
So he'd have gone through that shallow water, land on that shore, and then walked over the yellow through the
Yeah,
woods.
the yellow is the land. Yeah, that's
he-
how Garmin displays.
And he said that he went through the woods. So can you show us how far he would have gone through the woods? Like, can you move the?
But I don't know what woods, because they say a security guard at the boatyard spotted him.
Oh.
Saw him come in. However, there's no woods there at the Calcutta Creek, because when you land at the Calcutta Creek, it's all boatyard. It's paved. It's multiple boats, numerous boats, and it's a tarred road. Now, unless if they're getting it construed of the fact that maybe it wasn't exactly the boatyard, but in the Calcutta area.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he said he walked through a bunch of, rough terrain to get to help. But
Oh, wow.
but you're right. It would be tricky to get up and over
Exactly.
What'd you call it, Lovers Island?
Lovers Island.
Yeah.
Lovers. It's called Lovers Quarters.
And the currents wouldn't pull you up and around.
And listen, it ain't no major currents like that. And I can tell you, I was out that particular day with my boss. We were out in this boat. Yeah, we had some winds, but they weren't crazy as how he made them sound.
This was on Saturday night, the
That's
4th
right.
of April.
That's right. We were out. We were out all day with my boss.
And what time of night were you guys out? How late?
We got done. Well, we also had dinner. No, actually Saturday was. We did all day island hopping with our boss, and the boss told us no run for tonight because he was having dinner on Montage Key. So he did a grill out and stuff. So OJ and I got done. We were done like about 7:15ish or so.
So you were out at the same time.
We were out, and that's how I can tell you the conditions were nowhere near as he described per se, even though I'm in a bigger boat
Sure.
versus them being in a little 8-foot dinghy. But it was nowhere near severe per se like that for her to fall over. And I mean, as quick as something like that would have happened, I mean, right in there, ain't no current, man. Trust me when I tell you that. I used to swim practice in that area. Ain't no current like that. Current significantly comes mostly when there's two bodies of land, masses of land,
Yeah.
so close together with a narrow passage, and the current will speed up. But typically here, no.
Let me ask you this. Go back to the spot where you said they anchored out from Elbow Key,
Right here.
out the channel.
So, White Sound Channel and the Abercrombie, they were anchored out somewhere in.
And how rough is it once you get out the channel? If
Well,
you're in
being-
that little 8-foot
Well, winds
dinghy.
being out of the east, right? They were close to the land because the anchorage is somewhat close. As you can see, a little anchor there.
Yeah.
You're close in there. So the wind's blowing. You being that close to the land, you're somewhat in a lee. So you got some surface wind, but it's not even really. I can't tell you it's a 3-foot chop. No way.
Not a 3-foot chop.
No.
And he was saying it's 2 to 3 foot chop,
No
right?
way. No, he's talking ocean type chop, and this is considered to be the Sea of Abaco. It doesn't get that nasty in here per se unless if it's a major blow, storm, a nor'easter or something like that. But
Isn't that a really long, isn't it a long way to go? Can you start at the Abaco Inn and then with your finger trace where they would
Okay,
have had to
so-
take that dinghy out to find their mooring?
Right, so the Abaco Inn is up here,
Okay.
right? So they left out this channel. They gotta make a turn because the catch.
Okay.
Just keep your eye open. The catch is around this corner.
Okay.
So giving it a little more perspective, zooming out, that's the channel.
There's the
We're
channel,
coming out,
coming out
we're going
left.
to turn left. The boat is anchored somewhere just before the end. Just where, like I say this is a popular anchorage area.
Okay.
Other boaters, they're always out there to get a little protection from.
That little dinghy goes about 2 to 4 miles an hour.
Yeah, and
How long would that take?
not very long per se. Give or take maybe 10 minutes at tops.
10 minutes. And would there be a lot of boaters around there that might have been able to witness this happen?
Possible, don't get me wrong. Then again, it could have been very limited per se. I couldn't say for sure to say because we personally didn't traverse that area particularly that day for where we were with our boss. But just knowing the conditions in general, the conditions go for all around. And where we were, we're all in the Sea of Abaco. You know what I'm saying?
What is the law about a boat that is uninhabited? No one's on it. It's on a mooring ball. It's private property. But what's the mariner's law for boarding a vessel like that?
Well, it's private property, of course. Not that it's, in any case to say the mooring is public. I
I mean,
think
it's on a mooring,
Yeah.
which probably gives it. It doesn't make it an abandoned vessel.
No.
If it's floating out there, it's an abandoned
Exactly,
vessel.
yeah.
And you could board it.
That's right.
Hi. I was wondering if you knew anything about your neighbor. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. get up at night? The police came by this morning? What did they do?
They looked around and they laughed.
They got on board?
Yeah.
They did? How many were there? Did you see?
I don't know, a handful, 5 or 6.
5 or 6? Did they leave with anything? Like, did they have boxes?
They clearly were not happy with us watching this.
Well, it's a little hard not to watch. It's out here, you know, in the mooring. You know? What do you think about that? What happened?
You know, I'm just happy she shows up. That's what.
Tell me what the defense force is. That's like the Coast Guard in the Bahamas?
Right. They guard our borders and illegal immigrants, smuggling.
Would they be a part of this investigation?
Oh yeah. I would see them being a part of it because you know, maritime, and they're more like our maritime police anyway. So yeah.
Right.
But yeah, they're tying back up now. How would we? Let's see if I can get around the other side.
That's the police vessel that was out earlier today,
Yeah.
looking at Brian's boat.
And the lights are still on. They just pulled back in.
How often have they gone out to the boat? You know,
Not sure.
to search or to investigate?
Really not sure. See, and this being the Marsh Harbor side, where we're located, we don't get to see a lot of this on the daily because we don't traverse this area. You'll see in my route when I'm taking you to Oaktown, the Montage Key is in between Oaktown and Marsh Harbor. Oh, I could try to land on the side there. Just try to.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we could let them know we got a reporter that possibly want to have a chat.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to talk to them if they'll talk to me. And they docked their police boat just on that inner berth, that gray one right there with the lights on.
Yeah.
And that's Royal Bahamian Police.
Yeah. They just came back from town.
Right, right.
I said, "Remember Sora?"
So these are the Royal Bahamian Police that were out at the boat earlier today investigating, and they're just docked next to the equivalent of the Bahamian Coast Guard vessels. Let's see if I can't talk to him when he comes around.
Anything else this better? You straight? Yeah.
All right, so we're now leaving Marsh Harbor behind us, and that's of course where we're just touring you around Soulmate and the other boats that are moored in there. And what we're doing now is we're heading out of the Marsh Harbor, protected mooring, and we're heading across to Elbow Key. So starting to speed up a little bit.
So yeah, leaving Marsh Harbor, taking you to hometown where you're going to be staying. I'll point out one or two things for you as we get closer in a certain vicinity.
Okay, so to be clear, we've just come around from back there,
Yes.
which was the safe harbor, and now we're coming around to the right.
Right.
And here's what's so critical. All the way up there, you can see, we've got to go all the way around that before we can see Elbow Key. And he would have floated how many miles? Do you think, if he says what he says, he had no oar, or he had a broken oar, and he floated all night,
Right.
how many miles would he have floated?
Well, as to what he stated, I mean, he's way off in any case because it wasn't this side that he landed.
Right.
See, that's what I'm going to point out to you once we get so far up. There's two sides of Marsh Harbor.
Right.
We're on the more northern side. The southern side, the southeast side, around the corner, is where he made it into. Where I showed you earlier,
Right.
the Calcutta Creek.
Yeah.
That's all Marsh Harbor as
How
well.
many miles do you think?
From where the boat was to say they were in that anchorage,
Yeah.
give or take, 3.5 miles.
Would it have taken 9 hours to float all that way?
No.
No, right?
No.
Especially with the wind.
I swam that in 2 hours.
What?
'Cause I'm a swimmer. Yeah, we did a swim-a-thon from Marsh Harbor to that very Abaco Inn.
You swam that in 2 hours.
2 hours and 18 minutes.
And he's saying that it took his dinghy almost 9 hours.
Yeah.
From 7:30 at night till 4 in the morning.
Exactly,
to
that's
float
right. That's right.
In the wind, in the current.
In the current, that's right.
In a current or a wind
And-
strong
and
enough
listen.
to take limited away from that.
And listen now. You see my compass? It's mostly in the easterly quadrant. Those winds have been pretty easterly all week during this time. They've been mostly in the easterly quadrant, so
What does that mean for the journey?
So you'll see the quadrant. Once we get around to that hometown side, winds were typically basically like this the whole time. So look at the winds. Give it a push. The winds could have even given him a push from.
Would have been faster.
It would have been faster.
Wow.
Even if he was paddling along with a push of breeze and wave motion, because this is kind of like how it's been all week.
Would you
past
say,
week.
Captain Ronnie, this is very choppy seas? This is what, 1 to 2 footers?
This is about a 1 to 2 right
Okay.
now.
And he was saying it was 2 to 3 foot
Negative.
that night.
That's right. It's been about like this.
And you were out there.
We
Saturday
were
night
out.
before,
We were out the whole day.
And it was not 2 to 3 feet.
No, not 2 to 3. I know 2 to 3.
That's very
Right now we're looking
significant.
at about a 1 with
Because
an
one thing
occasional
he
possible
said-
2.
He said, I couldn't see your head. It kept disappearing. It's 2 to 3 foot seas.
That's bogus.
Focus.
That's bogus.
Interesting.
It ain't like you're out there in the wild, deep ocean.
But
And
there's no scenario where you think everything he says could be true. That he couldn't get to her, that the current and the wind blew them away from
I
each
don't
other.
believe that. No. Currently moving that
And then
fast.
do you also think if what he says is true, would her body have been easily found or surfaced in one of these areas, whether it was lovers or whether it was...
It could be. Bonnie should have been easily found in the event if so. Because, first of all, too, where the winds were blowing, her body would have ended up on a shoal of lovers, possibly around the shoreline, or further back to the shore of Marsh Harbor, where I kind of showed you, over to that side, to the western. You know what I'm saying?
What about sharks?
That's another factor. But, I mean, come on, man. I mean, it would have been some sort of trace of something we would have seen. Somebody, some local. Because there's boaters every day traversing that area to get either to work or it's a boat passing out there every day.
Yeah.
Candy Strike Lighthouse, last of its kind in the whole wide world.
Oh, wow.
Kerosene operated and cranked with a winch.
Really?
Yeah, and it's operated with a maximum. It's got chandeliers.
And this is Hometown Harbor
This is Hometown Harbor. We're coming into Hometown Harbor right now.
on Elbow Key.
Yes, ma'am. Hometown is your main town, settled by the Loyalists in the 1700s.
Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of people think this, Hopetown, is where a lot of, the story emanates, but it didn't happen here. It was down.
It further south
started
to
down that
White
way.
Sound. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
this is Elbow Key, and this is the main sort of
Town.
settlement, Hopetown.
Yes.
But this is not where they were drinking or enjoying
No.
themselves for the day.
No.
This is just sort of a real
Right. This
popular
is-
spot for
exactly.
all these boats
All
to
the
moor.
boats coming in.
One thing that's really interesting is that it is now 2 minutes past 7, and I want to show everybody getting close to sundown, right? So if you're out drinking and having fun in town, around 7 o'clock, you should probably be thinking you should be heading towards your yacht. And a lot of these guys have their tenders hanging off the back. See that little rubber dinghy? It's not that different than the one that Brian and Lynette had. But, you know, it's starting to get dark, and it gets dark fairly quickly. And again, this is 7:03 p.m. and the sun is heading to the horizon. And a lot of these boat owners would be making their plans to be back on board. Some will travel at night, but it's not smart unless you have lights on your boat. But not a lot of those little dinghies. They don't usually have lights on those little dinghies.
Exactly, and depending on your location, like I said, as to where you are, probably, you know, so in some cases it's just a little jog around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, and in Lynette and Brian's case, quite frankly, it's just outside the channel and around the corner.
They had like a 15-minute tender ride.
Yeah, about 10 minutes, maybe
10,
15 tops,
okay.
but 10. I'd say 10. You know, like I said, it's just outside the channel.
But that's, I mean, you know, if you're at a bar, you know, I got to get back to my boat. I don't have lights on my little tender, and you know, if anything goes south, I'm gonna be in trouble. You see these little tenders all hanging off everybody's back of their sailboats. Well, that's a nice one.
Yeah,
Nice one.
I feel, yeah.
Beautiful.
He center console's got a wheel, got a shift.
Gorgeous.
Lynette and Brian didn't have that.
No, they had just a little
The
tiny
one with the little
bathtub.
tiller, yeah.
Yep.
And a kill switch, of course. But
Yeah. Okay, it is now 7:58 p.m. and I'm just above the harbor, so I'm trying to give you the best shot. I'm basically up at the room where I'm staying now, but you can see it's dark. It got dark fast, actually way faster than I expected. So if Brian and Lynette were leaving the Abaco Inn at 7:30 and then 10 to 15 minutes or so on their dinghy before he said, you know, she fell off. Frankly, I don't even think it was that long because they didn't make it back to Soulmate, and it would have taken 10 to 15 minutes to get to Soulmate. So it would have only been about 7:40 at the point where he says she fell off, and they would have had 20 more minutes until this light where you can still see someone in the water. It's not pitch black, but it is getting dark. Okay, so there you have it. What a day. Like, first of all, Captain Ronnie. Oh my God. Hello. He's amazing. Love him. And now I'm going to make it a mission of mine to vacation here and call up Captain Ronnie and spend time with him, go drinking with him, have fun. This is the hard part about being here. I think I mentioned it earlier, is landing in the Bahamas and this beautiful water and all the people having their fun and the time of their lives and knowing I'm working. But I do want to let you know that tomorrow, my plan is to completely retrace the steps that Brian Hooker says he took with his wife Lynette when they left Elbow Key, because I've now found out a lot. I also have learned exactly where they were, and I know some people now who actually were there serving that day. So I'm going to be talking to them as well, what they saw between Brian and Lynette. Were there fights? Were they arguing? Were they having a great time? Was it the greatest day ever? I think there's some story here that it has yet to be told. And so I hope you'll continue to watch. Subscribe. You'll get alerts. It'll be there for you. And also, it would be great if you would like this video. I traveled a long way to do this. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. From Elbow Key in Hopetown, in the Abacos Islands in the Bahamas, I'm Ashley Banfield. And remember, the truth isn't just serious. It's drop dead serious.